On behalf of my mom and sister and I, again, we just want to thank every one of you for being here and remembering and being able to honor my dad together with us. It means a lot to us. And I want to say a special thank you to the musicians today that are sharing their talents and their gifts with us to honor my father's memory. Chuck Talmadge on the organ and playing the instrument of my father, and Michael and Michelle. You guys have known my father over 40 years because you've known me my entire life. And a special thank you to Sven, the son of my dad's best man, who came down here from Seattle to play the violin for you guys today. I just want to thank all the musicians, the Hager family, for singing at my dad's request. I want to thank you all. I need to start by saying that I was my dad's favorite. I don't mean any disrespect to my mother or my sister, but I had a special relationship with my dad. And I was my dad's little buddy. When I came along, I evened out the ranks. There were 2 children and 2 parents. And so I got to pal around with my dad a lot. I remember accompanying him on all of his trips and all of his chores all around town. We went together to the bank many times. We went to Costco. Before Costco, we went to Fedco. Do you guys remember Fedco? Right? And we did our recyclables together. We got filled up milk jugs with water out of the little gallon water dispensers. And so I was my dad's pal, and we palled along around. But my favorite memories of being my dad's sidekick was watching him in his craft. I considered myself the volunteer assistant minister of music at the First Congregational Church because I was there as often as he was. I was in my dad's children's choir called the Joy Choir. I was in his handbell choir. I was at many practices watching him direct the chancel choir, the adult choir at the First Congregational Church. And I had the privilege, when I started playing the oboe, I got to play with my oboe teacher, the flautist, for special music at the Congregational Church, and sing solos. Sometimes he would put me up in the pipes of the organ at the Congregational Church, and I would sing a solo from there. And so that was definitely my favorite memories of being his sidekick, or his little buddy. But all my life, I had a front row seat to what many of you will remember about my dad, and it's that his musical talent was captivating. I always held his gifting in high esteem within me, and I believe that everyone who encountered my dad's musical ability recognized that they were experiencing something very special. My dad easily typified a temperamental musician, but he could get away with it because he was that good. Whether he was biting his tongue in frustration with the choir or getting on to a musician, what no one can say who studied with my dad or performed with my dad was that they became a worse musician for it. He brought out the best because he expected and demanded no less. He made every musician around him. Not only was his gift within his own musical ability, but he had a gift to direct, and he drew that out of the people that he worked with. The other exclusive time that I got to spend with my dad was the road trips that my sister mentioned. And once my sister, there's a 7-year age difference between us, so as she got older sooner than I did, and she's still doing that. But as she got older, you know, school and work responsibilities held her back from attending those road trips, and my mom stayed back to be with my sister. And so my dad, I can't tell you how many of the road trips that we made, just the 2 of us. And that is a tradition that my husband and I continue today, is we continue to take those same road trips to Montana and to visit the people that we visited when I was just a child. And my husband, when we first started going on these road trips, relationships that my father had. Our first stop, every time we go on a road trip, is to be with one of his elementary, middle school age friends. And Sven Ronnie is the son of my dad's best man at my parents' wedding, and we always stop and visit the Ronnie farm in Stanwood, Washington. And there's countless other relationships that my father has had as an 86-year-old man for a lifetime, and that just amazed my husband. But it was so consistent, like my sister said, for my dad. He consistently invested in people, and that was his heart. He loved God, he loved music, he loved his family, and he loved his relationships and people. Very loyal man. My dad and I did not agree about everything, see eye to eye about everything, or do everything the same. But what I know that I had in my dad was a lifelong supporter, a believer in and encourager of me. I never doubted my dad's love for me. I want to thank you all again for all the love that you've poured out to me and my mother and my sister during this time. Trust that we know and believe he is living a life now that he could never imagine this side of heaven. And we are so happy for him that he is now whole and healed and part of the heavenly choir from where he belonged. This side of heaven, he was legally deaf, and many of you experienced his musical talent, but he experienced it from a position of deafness, which just shows the great grace that was upon his life to overcome those kinds of hindrances to his abilities. Next in the order of our service today, our family is sharing a short video of pictures of my dad, but I wanted to point out that the music that you will hear while the pictures are playing is my mother and my father playing a duet. My mother is on the organ, and my father is on the piano, and that's the music that's playing underneath the pictures. Thank you again.